Hi, everybody. I am here to talk about your annotated bibliography, which is the next assignment that you have to do. Hopefully, this will be kind of fun. I know it's not fun to try to cite sources, but some of these articles and some of the videos are pretty entertaining, especially the videos. So, as you can see on the syllabus, this is due on the 30th, and the 30th is next Thursday. Okay. So you have until next Thursday to get this finished. This is also the very last day that I am accepting the open boat or to build a firework. Okay. So you have until next Thursday. Once that's over, all of those are going to be deleted from Classroom and you won't be able to go in and do those anymore, the open boat and to build a fire. This one I'll probably take late, but it's just going to be a big pain when you're trying to read the book, but you have to go back. So, pretty important that you keep up. Now, you have a choice, and it is what grade you want on the annotated bibliography. Now, remember, this is in the 50% of your grade category because it's going to go in the writing category. Of all things that we do, this is the most valuable for senior year because you're going to have to write a senior paper next year, whether we're at home or whether we're at school, and that senior paper is a graduation requirement. Well, we're not going to do a research paper because we weren't in school, and it's too hard for me to assign for to you at home. But if you know how to cite, you're that's 90% of it. You know how to write, and we're writing papers. We're just not writing a full-blown research paper, but you're going to know how to do the works cited page, which is probably what your teacher's going to spend the most time on. So your annotated bibliography is going to be about the Great Gatsby, and you have um, a choice. To get an A, you have to do 5 articles or videos. To get a B, you have to do 4 articles or videos. To get a C, you have to do 3 articles or videos. To get a D, you have to do 2 articles or videos. And that's to get anywhere from a 61 to a 69. To get a 60%, you have to do 1 article. So I'm really hoping that everybody will choose to do at least 1 article. Now, in the A category, let's say you do 5 articles, but you've just done them completely wrong. You didn't do a summary, whatever. You will have to redo them, or you're not going to get an A. So just because you do 5 articles, if you don't listen and do whatever you want and they're a mess, there's no way you're going to get an A. So keep that in mind. So you still have to do them right. Now, I gave you a bunch of links. And in these links, I tell you what kind of source it is. So this is a biography of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's a website. And there's quite a few of them. And then the cover art for The Great Gatsby. We're not going to have the actual book in our hand, but I bet the cover art's going to be on it because it was so important. And the cover art was done just for this book. There's a couple of articles about the cover art. There's a couple of articles about the book and why you should read the book and why everyone should read the book. So there's 3 articles about that. This is about the history, the Roaring Twenties in the book, because the history is pretty darn important. It's amazing that it's prohibition and no one ever mentions it in the book. They just drink all the time. Um, Here's a book about the book's symbolism on YouTube. Here's a video about the book symbolism. Here is a video of F. Scott Fitzgerald, a short biography of him. So if you don't want to read one of the websites, you can just get on and watch. And here, I love this one. And it's, again, about why everyone should read The Great Gatsby. So those are your choices. To get an A, you have to do 5 of them, any 5 you want. I just gave you the categories because I just didn't want you to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you can kind of look at them and see what it is you'd like to research. Okay, then I gave you a sample annotated bibliography. So looking through the papers that have been turned in so far, some of you still have no clue what MLA format looks like. You might have the heading, but you are totally clueless that it has to be double spaced. Well, MLA format has to be double spaced. So immediately when you start a document, and I don't care, you can use this one, just make a copy of it, rename it so you don't turn it in as sample annotated bibliography up here. You can easily make a new title for it for your file. Replace your name with your name, replace my name with my name, replace class period with first, second, third, seventh, or eighth, and replace the day, month, year with 30 April 2020. Leave annotated bibliography there. If you want to do your own, before you ever even start writing any paper, and you have to write a paper, go up here, format, line spacing, double. And as soon as you click that, it's all going to be double spaced. It will never go back to single spaced unless you purposely do it. Okay. Then what I did was I went to Google and I looked up the Purdue OWL MLA. Purdue OWL. Purdue is a college in Indiana. OWL stands for their online writing lab, and MLA. This is a huge source of good information on how to cite an MLA. And I went here. Oh, look, the Purdue online writing lab. And I went here and I looked for works cited page basic format. And your works cited page, and it goes through like what you are going to do. But I want to go back because here, and this was in MLA formatting and style guide, I copied and pasted all of this, okay? Because this is what goes in your citation. The author, period, the title of the source, period, the title of the container, comma, other contributors, comma, version, comma, number, comma, publisher, comma, publication date, period, I believe that is, and location, period. Now, let me explain something. The container. If I go to dispatch.com, because I read the paper online, the newspaper, and I have a subscription to the e-edition. And hopefully I remember my hopefully okay. I remember my password here because I did want to show you, and I actually wanted to have this all pulled up for you and I forgot. Let's take a look. Okay, so as that's pulling up, so we know we need an author, period, title of the source, period, and title of the container. So the container, oh my goodness, it looks like this. Okay, so here's the newspaper, the whole newspaper. This is an article in the newspaper. So this is the title of the source. It is Terrible Job Losses, Slow a Bit. But the container is the Columbus Dispatch e edition in this case. Okay, so the title of the source are the little titles. This one, not terrible job losses. This one, not too close observation. This one, mammoth aid package approved. But the title of the container, they're all contained in the Columbus Dispatch. Okay, and then when you get down here and it says publisher, then here it's going to be the Columbus Dispatch e-edition, I believe, because that's who published this particular source. Does that make sense? So little title, big title, and then the publisher. So when you use EasyBib and stuff, this publisher always comes up as NP. And 9.5 times out of 10, I can always find a publisher. So you have to be careful of that. I highlighted these things because you're usually not going to have to worry about that because those are usually for academic scholarly articles, and we're just not using any of those. So you can kind of forget about this. Whatever you don't have, you leave off. If there's no author, simply skip it and start with the title of the source. Now, the title of the source should really be in quotation marks, okay? Because that's the little title, okay? And then once you've finished, here's how you reverse indent. Remember, this is reverse indented, okay? Because the first line is out, the next line is in. So we take that, we go up here to Format, Align and Indent, Indentation Options, and click on Hanging. And then we have Reverse Indent. And then when you finish your source, what the source is, then you come down here and you give your summary. Now, sometimes this will reverse indent, so you have to be careful. So you go up here to Format, Align and Indent, Indentation Options, and you click on None because we don't want this highlighted. And then if we want to do another one, so here's my source. And the source, title of container, other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, a period or a comma. I think it's a comma. Location, and that's the website. And access date. Okay. Now, if you notice, this is not indenting again. Or this, so I'm going to come up here, Format, Align and Indent, Indentation Options, Hanging, end of story. And now it's done. Okay. Now let's do one together. So, whoops. Let's go to this one. Sorry, I'm watching The Governor too. So if we want to do this, so here's a contributor, R. Clifton Spargo. Is there an author though? I'm gonna scroll down. Nope, it looks like R. Clifton Spargo is our author. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna click on Spargo. Was it Clifton R? R. Clifton. R. Clifton. So we always do last name, comma, first name, and then end that with a period. The title of the source is Why Every American Should Read The Great Gatsby Again. So I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to copy and paste that. But look, this is way different font. So I don't want that. So I'm going to go back here to 12. This is Arial. This is Roboto. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that all our fonts match. Okay, so this gets in quotation marks because that is the period quotation marks because that is the article title. Okay, and then we need the container. So where is this contained? Well, this is from the HuffPost. HuffPost right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. HuffPost. And that gets a comma. Okay. So then I'm going to come up here. What's next? Other contributors, the version or number. Well, I don't think there's any of those things on here. Let's see. There's no version, there's no other contributors, there's no number. Oh my goodness. This is full, everything is full of ads anymore. Okay. So there's none of that. All right. So the next thing, we can forget those. The next thing is the publisher. Well, the publisher is, I can't close that. Look right here, HuffPost Entertainment. There we go. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put in HuffPost Entertainment. But look, it goes back to Roboto. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to make that Arial. No, because it's highlighted. So I'm going to take this, take off the highlighting, and make sure that it's in black, and make sure that it's an Arial and a 12-point font. Now it matches. And the publisher gets a comma. So title, container, comma, publisher, comma. Okay. The publication date, that was pretty easy. I think it was right at the top. Updated June 9th, 2013. So I'm going to go 9 AUN 2019, and the publication date gets a comma. The location, easy enough. I'm going to take the URL. Okay, and that gets a period. And then the access date, I got it on June or on April 24th. So I'm going to go 24 April. Oops. 24 April 2020. And with a period. Now this, I want to take this off. So, whoops. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to remove the link. Make sure it's an Arial and it's a 12-point font. Okay, now I'm going to start my summary here. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like. There's no extra spaces. There's no bold. There's no underline. Here's a source. Here's a source. Here's a source. And so you just do it that way. Okay. Let's put this so you remember to do the summary here. So I'm going to leave that there. So you don't have to do it this weekend. I'm just putting it on here just in case you want to look at that. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. I know I'm not really a fan of this online teaching. I can't really yell at you guys. I think a lot of you cheated on the test, which is fine. But if you got 100% on the test, then I am expecting a pretty darn good paper because you must know the stories. So there's that. So just letting you know that sometimes cheating doesn't always work out the best. So let me know if you have any questions, any concerns, if you need me to, oh my goodness, look at my fonts. They don't match. I'm going to take all this and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make it all Verdana. Boom. Done. And it's bigger font and it looks nicer. So hopefully you guys are all paying attention. You're watching the videos. You're getting the code word. Some of you are. So your code word for this one is annotated. Annotated. So email me with that code word and I'll get you 2 points on any assignment that you want. You have to tell me what assignment and you have to tell me what the code word is. So enjoy, and hopefully this will be done next Thursday. See you later.